Hello, I'm Anthony William, and you're listening to the Medical Medium Radio Show, where each week I talk about the most advanced healing information and secrets about health, much of which is not found anywhere else and is decades ahead of what's out there now. As I've always said, who has 10 or 20, 30 years to wait for answers to their illnesses? Life is precious and there's no time to spare. Do you have 10 years to find out what's causing your inflammation? Or 10 years to find out what's behind your thyroid condition? Or 10 years to find out what's behind your psoriasis and eczema? No, we don't. Every day is precious here. Every day matters. And if you've waited this long, and if you waited for a long time to find out why your injuries are not healing, to find out what's going on, how come something's not moving forward, if you've waited a long time, we're not going to wait much longer because we're going to get down to it. We're going to figure it out and we're going to move forward. That's what it's all about at the show. And that's what the show's about. It's about getting that information. It's about finding those answers and providing those answers so that you move forward. That's what it's about. So let's start the healing now. Today's show is about recovering from physical injuries. If you've ever suffered with a physical injury, you'll know how painful and inconvenient and reoccurring this can be. Fortunately, there's more that can be done to reduce inflammation and assist in recovery from injuries, and I'll be covering that in this episode. So hang in there for this episode. Check out my Life-Changing Foods book, the Medical Medium Life-Changing Foods book. That's the book coming out soon after the summer. Try to get an order in if you can. I'm only saying that because I just don't think they're going to stay in stock. The last book had a hard time staying in stock, and I think this is going to be a lot more difficult. So I want everybody to be able to get a copy. Frustration occurs if someone can't get it when they want to, and they need it for their health and so forth, and then we're waiting. So maybe, getting one now and having it on pre-order and hold is really helpful. So Life-Changing Foods. And what's really cool about this book and really special is it's really unique because it's information about what we can really do with food for the first time ever. It's not just a regular recipe book or a book that just sits on the coffee table but you don't read it. It's literally... It's life-changing, and like the subtitle says, it's save yourself and the ones you love. What I mean by that is there's information in there to keep us healthy for the long haul, for our families, for our children to come, and their children. And so there's information in here that's so critical and so important about what food really does, what illnesses, what diseases, autoimmune diseases and illnesses and conditions, to everything from cancers, you name it, which food helps with which illness and condition. First time ever this is out there because it's coming from Spirit, and the information is going to be there for everybody. And not only is there information about foods and what foods do for the illnesses, there's ways of taking all the different foods in there, matching it up to your illness, and really knowing how to conquer what's happening in your life. I mean, it's really geared for this person who needs to get better, who's looking for answers, but not only that, to protect yourself and your family and moving forward in life. It's specific. It has details about it. It's not just, oh, this is good for this and that's it. So that's a big part of it. Plus, there's a lot more information in there that's critical for health and moving forward in life. So make sure you lock that down if you can. We're here. We're talking about injuries. I'm excited today because of this, because injuries are so confusing. They really are. You think they wouldn't be. It's kind of, you think they would be clear cut. You bang your knee and it hurts, and you go to the doctor. And, and the doctor says you either have an injury or you have or you have an ACL issue, a torn ACL or whatever it is, and it's straightforward. It's not really that straightforward. Some injuries are, and many aren't. And we're gonna go into this a lot deeper. First of all, it's easy to get an injury. It can happen to anyone at any time. And just when you're thinking it can't happen, it can happen. I remember years ago, I was just walking outside and there was some icy boards, and I was trying to step over these icy boards, and I slipped right on my butt. And it hurt for weeks and weeks and weeks because it was one hard fall on my butt. And so And that was it. Okay, it healed fine. But what about the person, that slips and they injure their back, they injure their butt, they injure a leg, and it's just not going away. And it's sticking around and sticking around. And I'm not even just talking about breaks. I'm not talking about broken legs. I'm not talking about broken bones. And that too, we're going to cover too, making sure that you know, we help every aspect of injuries. And when we get an injury and it doesn't want to budge and it doesn't want to go away, it can be devastating. I mean, it's no joke. I mean, people can suffer. And then if you have a chronic illness around it, or a chronic illness happening, in your life, or something going on, or other symptoms, and you have an injury that doesn't want to budge, it just really weighs heavy, really weighs heavy. I mean, does that happen to you at all, or do you know anybody that has an injury, plus you got these other problems going on? Plus you got diabetes, plus you have some other symptoms, plus you have severe fatigue, then you also have an injury, or you have an ankle injury. And if that's happened to you, then you understand, how harsh it can be, how hard, how complicated, and it makes life really difficult. It's one thing to be fatigued. It's another to, have a lot of brain fog. It's another to have, other issues, neurological issues, but then they have an injury on top of it. It's just too much. It's too much for a lot of people out there, and I've seen people suffer, and I've seen people go through so much. It breaks my heart, and it really does. I mean, I've had some people literally with injuries occurring consistently, when they were sick. So I've had people come to me and say, "Look, Anthony, I've had chronic fatigue syndrome. I've had fibromyalgia." Okay. And now every time I even do anything, I step the wrong way. I got a bad ankle. I walk too much and my hip hurts. I sprained my wrist just opening up, a jar of something, a jar of peanut butter or whatever. And sprained my wrist. And then now I have my wrist wrapped up. I've seen it all. And has that ever happened to you? Because it does happen to a lot of people. So the injury thing is a serious deal. And then, of course, there's injuries. There's car accidents. Get into a fender bender, you get into a car accident. We're going to cover that too. There's people that get into a small fender bender. They're not even injured. And then 3 days later, their whole body's hurting head to toe and hurts for about 2 years. And they go to the doctors. The doctors don't even know what it is because they have no physical injury. There's those kinds of injuries that occur, mysterious injuries. We're going to try to cover what we can. There's a lot. So that's another example right there. Getting, knocked around, not having anything physically, showing or physically tangible at the doctor's office or, at the emergency room, but yet you're injured. And this happens to a lot of people. And then there's some people, they get injured, they just heal from it real quick, and that's it. No big deal. They had a small injury, they get better. They had a big injury, well, they healed and all set, done, move forward. They put it past in their lives. And that confuses a lot of people too. That confuses a lot of people that have ongoing injuries, ongoing trauma, and they don't know why it's not going away. They don't know why it's not healing, and they see someone else break their leg, mend their leg, and they're off to running, and now they're playing basketball again or something, or whatever they're doing. They're, playing a sport, or they're, riding their bike, no problem. And I've seen people, break their shoulder, get a break in the shoulder. Doctor says, well, it's clear and straightforward. Should mend, no problem. Should be no big deal. And everything looks great. It's healed. It looks great on the scan. But then they have leftover pain that's running up into their jaw, running down their arm, and it's now troubleshooting. And it's like going to doctor, neurologist. Like, what is this? So our injuries come with also these leftover residuals, these leftover issues that occur. And if you're a practitioner, you've probably seen this. If you're someone suffering with it, you probably felt it. So, this happens. So let's talk about like the difference between these. So you get somebody who, they injure themselves, they break a leg, they break an arm or whatever, and it gets casted, and they come out of the cast, they do a little rehab, a little physical therapy, they're off and running, and then they put it past them, and it's all good. And then what about the person who gets a break, or not even a break, sprains something, it's inflamed, it's swollen. I've seen people with knees that are just barely injured, and they're swelling, for months and months, and there's not even a tear, there's not even ACL tear, there's not even anything else going on. And I've seen that happen too. So what's the difference between these two? Like what's going on in here? Is it just what they're eating? Is that a piece of it? That's not exactly. A lot has to do with other things happening in the body, like viral conditions, especially the Epstein-Barr. That one for sure has a lot to do with injuries. If you have an Epstein-Barr viral load inside of you, and it's percolating and it's going on, and then you get into a fender bender in a car, and the adrenaline's pumping and flooding all through your system. So tons of adrenaline is pumping all through your system, saturating your body. And adrenaline it weakens the immune system. That's what it does. It drops the immune system down to like half its value when you have that kind of adrenaline surge. And then if you have a viral condition that's peaking, about to peak, that comes out. Next thing you know you got an Epstein-Barr situation on your hands, and you're feeling fibromyalgia from a small fender bender, a small car accident for the next year or two. Or if you don't know how to address it and have the answers like I put in the medical medium book, or I put on social media, or the answers I put in my members groups, or whatever it is, if you don't have the answers to how to move forward, you're stuck with this for 10 years or 15 years. Who knows? I've seen this happen with people so much. And so that's one of the aspects, is viral conditions that are underlying. They have a huge impact on knee surgeries. That's another thing. Standard knee surgeries, knee replacements, okay, or just knee fix-its or whatever. Standard knee surgeries, okay, where people get a knee replacement. All right, should be no big deal. Clear cut, great surgeon, incredible surgeon. Job gets done great. State of the art knee replacement. Okay, parts, state of the art parts, and basically should be up and walking in a couple of weeks, in a week or two, and doing rehab. And then next thing you know the knee's swelling up, not doing good, swelling up. You're back at the surgeon's office, back getting an MRI, and not sure what's going on, and everything's inflamed, not responding good. This is rampant out there. This is rampant. And then you get someone who has a knee replacement. Boom, they're walking in one day. They're walking in one day. Yeah, well, maybe that's not the right thing to do, but they do it anyway. They're walking in one day. So what I'm trying to say is that this is going on, and when that does occur, and it's a mysterious troubleshooting like knee issue that's lasting and everything, that's a viral condition underneath it. That's something very important to understand. The one virus that tends to work with that mostly is the Epstein-Barr. That's the infamous one that actually keeps the knee swollen, keeps it going. Same if someone bangs their knee or gets an injury on their knee, it keeps it swollen, it keeps it inflamed. Could keep it inflamed for 6 months, keep it inflamed for a year. I've seen it do it for 5 years for people, whatever. And so that's a big part of the injury world. Another big part is the shingles virus. I've seen people that work in packaging where they're carrying packages and they're doing things with packages, and they're lifting things every day. Nothing really that heavy, 15 pounds, 10 pounds, 5-pound packages, 20 pound packages, 25, maybe 40 sometimes. Light packages for a lot of strong people. I've seen strong people doing this work, and all of a sudden one day something kind of feels weird in their back and in their shoulders. It's unexplainable. They go to the doctor. Doctor doesn't know what it is. It's just now it's an inflammation that's developing. Doctor thinks it's a tear. Next thing you know, you're at the surgeon's office. Surgeon will, you get the MRI, get the CAT scans, doesn't look like a tear. And all this confusion happens. And lo and behold, it's a shingles virus. And it literally stops people from using their arms. They get frozen shoulders. I talk about it in my medical medium book about the frozen shoulders. That occurs. So you get, that can happen out of nowhere. The whole shoulder freezes up. People get disabled. They lose their jobs. They got to go on, disability. And then the injuries last for 10 years, 5 years, 3 years, until something's done about it. They go to doctor to doctor. So this is an example. And maybe that's happened to you. Something similar has happened to you. Same thing with neck and shoulder. A lot of that's shingles. You don't need a rash in order to showcase that. I talk about that in the medical medium book. If you haven't gotten the medical medium book yet, what are you waiting for? You just got to get it. You got to order it. You have to get it. You have to look at this stuff. It's so important. It's important because you might run into someone else that needs it, that needs the information. And my goal is to get the information out there. That's basically what my goal is. That's the number one goal. That's why we provide tons and tons of info, because I just need people to get well in my lifetime. It matters to me. Spirit wants people better. Spirit has instilled in me the same fight to want to get people better. So if you haven't gotten the book, get the medical medium book. And learn about how shingles work. So that gets in the neck, it gets in the shoulder. Someone can literally just be fine one day and they turn around, they pick something off the ground and their neck goes. Completely mysteriously, their neck goes. Okay, they're getting massaged, they're at the chiropractor's office, they're getting they're at the doctor's office, either way, and they're getting it looked at, and there's no tear, there's no break or anything like that, and they got a neck that doesn't work good, or they get a shoulder that doesn't work good. These are viral injuries. That's what they are. They're viruses that are kind of percolating. They've been kind of nesting, and they come out and they inflame things. They inflame nerves and muscles. And this is one part of injuries this is the big part of injuries that's being overlooked. So people walk around with injuries, they walk around with problems, they go to doctor, they can't get the answers they need unless there's a physical thing wrong that's really there. And even when that gets fixed, they still have inflammation, they still have injuries. And look, if you're someone who escaped all that, just had one little injury or had a break, it mended, you moved forward, you didn't have the viral inflammation, thank God, for you, because, then, you get to experience some freedom. And then when we don't have that, we lose some freedom. And it's difficult. So that's what today is about. That's what we're talking about today. We got to get that freedom back. I got to get that freedom back for the person who's dealing with that kind of inflammation that's occurring post-injury. So it's like post-injury inflammation. Very important. When I'm in a crowd or around a crowd, which I try not to do too often, I try to just save that energy for events. So I can do the light blast and I could do the things, to be there and sustain. When I'm around crowds, I see back problems everywhere. So I see back issues. And even if it's not at an event, even if I'm somewhere else and I happen to be around a lot of people, or I'm on the plane and Spirit's giving me information about what's happening with anybody behind me, in front of me, on the side of me, left of me, right of me. And I often look at backs. And I like to see the conditions people's backs are in. And a lot of times people have the messiest backs. They have their discs are all out of place. They have old injuries. They have soft tissue injury. They have connective tissue injury. They have vertebrae injuries. They have, degenerative discs. They have anything, spondylosis. They have all kinds of different things going on with their backs, scoliosis, you name it. And it's amazing how so many people don't even feel it. Don't even feel it at all. Don't even feel it. When they have discs bulging, don't even feel it. Walking around discs bulging for 30, 20 years, don't even feel it. And then there's someone who has something equal and they feel it. Or there's someone who has something less and feels it. Or there's someone that doesn't have anything wrong with their back and feels it. The back looks fine, the discs are lined up okay, there's no nerves being impeded, nothing fishy going on, and they're inflamed. Okay, and then there's routine back surgeries, routine laser back surgeries, or there's some really good surgeons out there, amazing surgeons who are doing really good back surgeries. Back surgeries are not like they used to be. Back in the 80s, they were just, they were pretty gruesome. And because of technology, neurosurgeons were actually getting a lot better with back surgeries. There's some good clinics that do it and so forth. And, a lot of people that get a back surgery because they have an impeded nerve or an issue, they get it, they get some scar tissue shaved off, or they get a nerve repaired, slightly repaired, or they get some work done or they get a type of fusion, whatever they're getting done, they walk out of there okay. There's some back surgeries where you same day you're walking out, you're sore, you're on a pain med, but you're walking out and then it recovers. Then there's someone that said, there's someone that goes through a routine back surgery. They're told it'll be fine. They'll be, walking around in a week. They'll be recovering. And it doesn't happen. They have the same pain they did before they went in and even worse. And the mystery of that's the troubleshooting mystery. That's what I'm talking about. That has everything to do with the viral inflammation that we have. One person might have a little bit more of a shingles virus, maybe an Epstein-Barr. One person might have both. And those are the two viruses that mostly stand behind the post-injuries that keep them lasting longer. It's a big piece of it. And if you're eating the wrong foods, you're feeding the viral situation, so you're getting more viral inflammation. And then that's occurring. And so it's a vicious cycle. So that's why foods are important. So we'll cover some of that too. Let's talk about a couple of different things. Let's go with the backs, because I like the backs because most people have the back issues. Am I right? I mean, do you have a back issue at all? Or did you have a back issue at all? Maybe you had one in the past. Maybe it creeps up. Some people say, well, my back goes out every fall. It goes out every fall. Not every time you fall, but every fall, every October, every November, whatever, every late September. So some people, that's what happens in their lives. The back goes out on them like once a year or every 6 months or 3 months. Maybe that's happening with you. So we'll cover some good stuff with that. So if that's happening and then your back gets better, now that's a good sign. If it's not getting better, well, you got a little bit of viral inflammation, fine, and that could be dealt with. But either way, one thing, regardless of where you stand with your back, you have to learn how to cold pack your back. It sounds simple, cold packing, like an ice pack, like cold pack. Sounds simple, but you'd be surprised how nobody does it. Nobody does it. It's one, or does it enough. If you get a back injury or just start getting a back injury, you have to jump on it right away. You have to get a cold pack on that back. That's critical. You don't have to burn the skin. You don't have to have ice pressing against your skin, but you have to get a cold pack on it. That's first and foremost. That's how you can completely, elude, or you can completely get around it getting worse and worse and worse and the inflammation getting worse. If your back gets tweaked and it starts to get inflamed, there's more than the tweaking, the mild injury or the mild movement you did that was off, that's causing this. This is definitely caused by a little bit of inflammation caused by a viral situation. So you want to jump on it with ice. That's the first thing you want to do. 30 minutes twice a day. That's important. That's a really good amount right there. You want to do it in the afternoon. You want to do it at night. If you can, do it in the morning. But you want to do it every day. The key for this and why you have to do this is you have to train your nerves to get deflamed, even though deflamed is probably not a word. You want to train that nerve to calm down, push that nerve back, okay, because that's a critical piece to it, especially if you're chronic. If you're chronic with back issues, chronic with back injuries, you want to train the nerves back. You want to train them down. If you don't, they're going to get inflamed. They're going to start to crack. They're going to start to harden. They're going to start to dry up, and you can't train them down as easy. Okay, so that's number one. If you've been doing this a long time, meaning in pain with your back, going through struggles with it for a long time, then you have to learn how to cold pack it. It still matters. Another thing is you want heat on your back early in the morning or in the morning. You want heat in the morning and then ice from there on, or cold packs from there on throughout the day. This is really critical, very important. The heat will loosen up the muscles in the morning, because the cold packs and the ice does tighten up muscles and tense up muscles, but it's doing that at the same time. It's training the nerve to calm down. It's pushing the nerves back. You want the nerve to be allowed to be pushed back and trained back. So what you do is you do heat in the morning, okay, and heat swells up the nerve a little bit, but it loosens up all the muscles, and that's what we want. And then later on, during the day, in the evening, it's the cold packs. You want the cold packs there. You want to train those nerves down. It's a great way for a chronic back problem to heal over time. I've seen some people with some slip discs that doctors were like, no, has to be surgery. Can't go with that. It has to be surgery. There's no way around it. And, I've seen the people suffering with this. And then once you do some of these techniques and you work on it just right, you literally can heal from it, move on, and not have back surgery. I've helped people many times over that. So this is something to be thinking about. We're going to go over supplements for all this stuff a little bit later, too. Go over supplements and some foods as well. So the back issues are big because so many people go through them. People have problems, and then you get the sciatic nerve. The sciatic nerve. That's a big deal. You get the piriformis, you get the nerves in the piriformis, nerves in the gluteal nerves, the tibial nerve that runs through all these, the pudendum nerve, all these different nerves that run through, sciatic nerve especially. And what happens is with people with back injuries and viral inflammation, they'll get pain on their toe, but not on their back. They'll get pain on their foot, pain on their calf, like unexplained debilitating pain on their calf that's so bad you can't even stand. You can't stand, you can't move, you can't walk. They go to the doctors, they get MRIs, they get CAT scans, everything checks out fine, nothing wrong. But they have pain it could be in their thigh, it could be on their calf, it could be literally down by their toes, it could be on the top of their foot, and the pain is so vicious where there's nothing that can really treat it except for heavy drugs, heavy medications, lots of that kind of thing. And so this is a sciatic problem mostly, tibial nerve and sciatic problem caused by a viral inflammation. This is viral. It gets into the lower spine, lower back. It can't be seen. You can't see it on MRIs. You can't see it on CAT scans. And the nerve sends a signal down to the foot, sends a signal down to the calf. Now, if you're one of those, you're dealing with it. You know what I'm talking about. So that's another viral inflammatory situation, mostly from the shingles virus, the sciatic nerve, mostly from the shingles virus. And so that's a big deal, something to know about. So you got the heat in the morning, like I said before. You got cold and cold packs in the afternoon and in the evening. Very important. And then with injuries, it's important to move. It's important to walk. Now, it's a catch-22. If you got somebody with really bad fibromyalgia, they got a really bad Epstein-Barr issue, they're inflamed in all their nerves. If they don't move, it gets worse. If they move too much, it gets worse. So there's this vicious cycle. I mean, right? Have you ever known anybody like that? Or have you gone through that? And so when that happens, it's really, really, really debilitating, but it kind of breaks the spirit. Because you're really not allowed to exercise, obviously, because you feel like if you push it too much, you're going to be all flared up. Everything's going to hurt, including your back, including your arms, including your legs, neck, whatever. Maybe fatigue will take over too. But if you don't move, it can get worse as well. Everything can get worse. So we have to find a comfortable place for you where in movement, if you're that kind of person, we have to find that comfortable spot. So you got to move a little bit. You got to walk a little bit. Same thing with a lower back problem and a sciatic nerve issue, whether it's viral or not, whether it's the shingles or it's an injury where your disc is collapsing, whatever it is, we have to move a little. It's very important for recovery to actually move. Walking sticks are important for injuries. Don't have so much pride that you can't get a walking stick. That's not it's not debatable. It's not an issue that you're too young or something in your life to have a walking stick or whatever. Walking sticks are really good for recoveries. You have a knee issue, you have a knee problem, don't be afraid to use a walking stick for a little while. You got a back issue, don't be afraid to take pressure off by using a walking stick for a little while. There's some really good ones out there. There's these fiberglass ones, they're adjustable. They have different handles on them. I love that for people with injuries, people with chronic illness, people with chronic injuries. And it can actually help you walk a little bit more and heal a little bit faster until you don't need it anymore. You don't need the crutch anymore. So that's how it works there. Back braces, back supports, try a few different ones. I think they're fantastic. Bauer Find is my favorite company for people. I've gotten better results by offering back supports and knee supports and elbow supports and wrist supports and ankle supports from Bauer Find. I think it's like Baur, and then what's it? Find Find or something. But do a search. The spelling isn't correct, I don't think, but it's Bauer Find. So what you want to do is you want to check out their supports. Now they have compression supports. If you have a knee issue, wearing a compression sleeve is ideal, incredibly ideal. And then taking it off throughout the day and putting cold packs on your knees, getting the inflammation, the swelling down. I've seen some bad knee injuries heal with no surgeries, without needing surgeries. And I've seen ones that people went through surgery that wouldn't heal from doing the right things. Some people say, well, I don't want to, weaken the muscles in my leg by using a sleeve or a compression support for my knee or a back brace for a back support. I don't want to kind of, people say, well, I don't want to kind of do that, but that's actually not correct information. The support is critical and it's important. And you're still using your muscles with the support or not. Even with using the support, you're still using your muscles. You're still using everything, that you're using. You're still using your body. The only difference is actually you're taking a little less pressure off the injury and the inflammation or the viral inflammation and injury. You're taking a little less pressure off and you're able to walk a little bit more and you're able to get stronger and protect it at the same time. So compression sleeves are really good. Knee braces are really good. Not knee braces, but knee sleeves. I really like those. So these are some of the things to do, including the walking sticks. These are important. And, understand that with injuries, frustration, we have to deal with frustration in a different way. There's nothing more frustrating than an injury, because if it happens for a silly reason, you trip off the front porch, you slip on some ice, you hurt yourself doing something. We have to emotionally get grounded about it all. We really do. Because there's nothing more frustrating, nothing more agitating than having an injury, feeling like you could have avoided it, or maybe something could have been different that day. Maybe you should have walked on the ice differently. Whatever it is, sure, we could learn from our mistakes, but we make these mistakes and we get injured. It's a normal process of life. Quite honestly, I have never yet seen a single person not sustain one injury, and in their life, no matter what. Some many, some less, some really bad ones, some not so bad ones. Regardless, it happens. Frustration levels, we have to kind of calm down. We have to calm down about it. We can't beat ourselves up. We can't punish ourselves for our injuries. That's something that's very important. I know people that, they get injuries literally by the week because they're struggling with a chronic illness. They're trying to move around. They get small injuries while they're doing it. They slip, they fall. All kinds of things are happening. And we have to keep a sense of humor the best we can, as bad as it is. And it is, it's a struggle. We got to keep a sense of humor. We have to stay lighthearted the best we can with these injuries and the pain we go through with injuries. So that's something to keep in mind. I know you're probably saying, hey, Anthony, easier said than done. I've been through a lot in my life, and it's easier said than done. And, it's hard to put a smile on my face when I'm dealing with injuries and dealing with pain, dealing with the suffering I've been through. And I understand. I totally understand. It's just that the frustration tightens up all the muscles. Anger tightens up the muscles, tightens up the nerves, puts more pressure on the injuries. So we have to find a way to kind of, relax and stay as calm as we can around it. And that's why I'm proud of you guys, because I know you guys do that already. And I know who you know, meaning like with your loved ones and your friends, and you guys are doing that already. And I'm proud of you. Exactly. You're probably, you probably don't need to hear that information because you're already working on it. I get it. So, but I can't help it. I can't help but talk about it. So, you don't want to talk about ankle injuries. When someone gets an ankle injury, the idea is to stay off of it right away. Sprained ankle, ankle injury, bruised ankle. But there's a fine line between that. You have to use that ankle a little bit. That's why supports are good when you get an ankle injury, an ankle injury. Well, you need angels too when it comes down to injuries. We're going to cover that in a few minutes as well. We're going to bring in the angels for injuries. They do help. And so when you get that kind of ankle issue, and you definitely need the support, really important. You need to do things like cold packs. Like I said, on the back, you have to still do that for knees. You still have to do that for ankles. Remember that. That's important. But you have to use the ankle. You may not have to use it on the first day or the second day, but you have to start using it with the injury. And you could talk to your doctor about that. You could talk to your practitioner, physical therapist, or your healer, or your natural practitioner, or whatever. You can. But it's important to move a little bit, putting a little weight on it, putting a little pressure on it when it starts to come around a little bit. Because if you don't, the injury can sustain longer, it could stay longer, it can get worse. There's this catch-22 fine line in between there. Don't overuse it, okay, because we can get in trouble that way too, but you got to use it a little bit. The reason why I'm saying this, I know people that have injured their ankles and stopped using their foot, and they've done too much rest on it and very little movement, where it's just very little. And it's slowed down the healing process. You have to walk on it a little bit. I'm not saying take a 1 mile walk with it. I'm saying maybe just a little bit more around the house, maybe a little bit more around the kitchen, and then rest it, and kind of gauge it. It's one way to help heal the ankles. Ankles actually need that movement. And so that's one tip I could give you that's really important. I'm offering that tip because so many people ask me about it too. They're like, look, I twisted my ankle and it's not healing, or I twisted it, thought it was healed, and then I took a hike and now I'm worse than I was before. So there's this gradual thing of movement, healing, moving forward, and you move forward. Now, if you've had fibromyalgia, which is Epstein-Barr with the nervous system, inflaming nerves. So if you've had fibro or you have fibromyalgia and you twist your ankle, you could be dealing with a little bit more of a longer injury, a longer inflammation process that I talked about before. And, that requires, tender, loving care. Plus, like I said before, it's about knocking down the Epstein-Barr. Get a copy of the book so you learn about Epstein-Barr, so you know what you're doing there. So that's a big piece of it. And so I want to talk about nerve damage. So nerve damage with injuries. Anybody out there dealing with nerve damage, or they're told they have nerve damage? Because that's what happens. Some people have these they have these injuries, these physical injuries. The injury goes away, and they might have had some surgery with these physical injuries, might have been in a car accident, whatever it is that's happened, fallen off of a horse. And the doctor says, well, you have nerve damage now. That's what's going on here. And your nerves are damaged. And that's why you're feeling this pain. It could be like this for the rest of your life. There is ways of recovering the nerves. There are ways of healing the nerves. And it can be done. So, and we're going to cover that with some of the supplements we're going to talk about. That's important. So don't feel you can't heal your injuries. Try to, let that go. I was talking to someone the other day, and they were like, Anthony, there's no way I can heal. And I said, well, that doesn't sound right. Because I don't believe that, number one, because you can heal. There's no question you can. And tell me why you can't heal. That's what I said to the person. They said, well, it's been a long time, and I got this nerve damage, and I got this, I have this injury, and I got another injury, and it's just not healing. It's been going on 15 years. The doctor says I'm always going to have this, and it seems like it's getting worse. And then when the weather comes in and the rain comes in and the low pressure storms come in, or low pressure or high pressure, I feel it. My whole body hurts. It's not getting better. You feel the barometric change. You feel the weather. That's what this person was telling me. And yeah, I understand, because when weather changes and weather comes in and the damp weather comes in and the low pressure storms come in, we feel it because there's pressure. It puts pressure on our nerves. And I said, well, look, first of all, we have to get rid of the thought that you can't heal. That has to go away. We have to throw that away. That has to be thrown in the garbage. So let's crumple that up like a piece of bad paper, and let's just shoot it into the waste paper basket. because that's where that has to go right now. And so, well, the person said, well, it's really hard for me to let that go because I've been convinced. There's just no way this is healing. I'm convinced. And I said, look, number one, okay, your body responds to your thoughts. Bottom line, it does. It responds to your thoughts. It needs that tender, loving care. You have to give your body a chance. And the person said, well, I gave my body a chance. I was all excited. I was all enthusiastic at the beginning of my injury. And, I thought I can heal. And, I went to a lot of different practitioners and I thought I can heal. And it didn't happen. And I said, look, we're dealing with a few different things. We're dealing with a lot of different information we're going to be giving you, Spirit and I. Number one, new information. That's key and critical. That's why I do the radio show anyway, too. And we're going to give you that new information. That's number one. And number two, you're going to click on that healing process in your body. You're going to click it on right now. You're going to tell your body you can heal. You're going to have to do it. I don't care if you don't even believe it. You're going to have to tell your body. You're going to have to start with that. And I told this person, I said, you got to start with that. 3 times a day, I said. 3 times a day. I want you telling your body that it can heal, that it's going to heal and it's healing. 3 times a day. I said, I don't even care if you believe it at this point. So you don't have to believe it. I just want you to tell your body that. So the person did that 3 times a day. Told their body, you're going to heal. If there's no doubt about it. Okay. Anthony says you're going to heal. I'm saying you're going to heal. Yes. So this person told their body. Of course, the person didn't believe it, meaning didn't believe they were going to heal. But I told that person that doesn't matter. Just don't worry about that right now. Just tell your body. And it was 3 times a day for 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, less pain was occurring in the body, a little bit less pain. And then belief started kind of getting stronger. And then with that, we started working on different foods. And then we started working on supplements like the B12 denosylcobalamin that I'm always putting everybody into, because that one right there is literally life-changing for people with nerve issues, neurological problems, nervous system problems, from viral issues, injuries, you name it. Getting on the B12, and it started coming together for the first time in 15 years. And then the belief got stronger and the faith got stronger. And then when this person said to their body, I know you're healing, they actually had this feeling like of joy, like this flutter in their tummy, this flutter, this little kind of, this light feeling that went through them, kind of like goosebumps and like almost air rush through them, that they actually were healing, and they believed it, and the faith was building. And if you've been through an injury for a long time and you just don't think you can move forward, we're gonna switch that around. We have to switch that around, and we're gonna move forward. Chances are you've had viral inflammation the whole time. You may have nerve problems, but maybe not really nerve damage. Okay, so that's another thing too. So back to the nerve damage thing. I took you guys off course. Took you guys off course a little bit because I wanted to tell you that story. But back to the nerve damage thing. Nerves can heal miraculously. They have the ability, we have the ability to grow new cells in our nerves, new tissue in our nerves, and new nerve sheaths, and we can heal, and we can move forward. And so if you've been dealing with an injury and suffering for many years with an injury, you can move forward. So we covered a lot of different things. We talked about the back. We talk about back injuries. We talked about icing it, heating it in the morning. We got all that down, okay? We talked about the viral inflammation, so we have to go over supplements, some healing supplements. Let's start talking about that. Supplements. So the B12, that's prime. That's the one that matters. Not the most, but it's one of the ones that matters the most. It's one of them. So the B12, the adenosylcobalamin, you guys know it. Many of you guys are knowing it. Now, I got people telling me, hey, which I've never talked to before, and I talked to them, they're like, hey, I'm on that adenosylcobalamin, that B12, and it's getting me to feel better. I was helping somebody out that I think they're 92 or 93 years old, and the doctor told them that, they're getting old, okay, they're 92, they're getting old, and that they're just going to have to live with the pain. So, bottom line, could do a little physical therapy, but you're just going to have to live with the pain. You're just going to have to deal with it. Your injuries that you've had over the years and the pain that you're in, and you're getting old. And you know what? This person refused to take that information. and digest it. I said, you know what? I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing my age as being getting old. And a person came to me and was telling me this whole story and said, you know what? You just need a little bit of the dinosylcobalamin, the B12, and the mix of the methyl and the adenosine, and you need a few more things. And they were taking it, and the pain all went away at 92, 93 years old. And still fine. So it wasn't about getting old. It's another thing too. I got people in their 50s are like, well, I'm getting old. This is just how it is. I got pain. No, we can't do that. We can't do that. We can't go there. So let's talk about some supplements. We got the B12, the vitamin C, very important for injuries. Vitamin C is a miracle for injuries. Oh yeah, but I'm on vitamin C. I've had people tell me, I'm on vitamin C. I'm like, how much vitamin C are you on? I'm on 200 milligrams of vitamin C. I'm like, that's not enough. That's not enough. That's good. It's good that you're on that. Let's get you on 4,000 milligrams. Go to your naturopath. Tell your naturopath you want to take, 6,000 milligrams. You want to take 7,000 milligrams. See what your tolerance is. And you can start slow and work your way up. You can start with 2,000 milligrams to 3 and then 4, because vitamin C can make you go to the bathroom. It can kind of flush your system out. So you want to see what your tolerance is, and you want to kind of rise up. And then you can really help injuries, including nerve inflammation, viral inflammation from fibromyalgia, which is Epstein-Barr. You guys know that now. You know that secret, okay? So you know that. Silica, living silica is a good one. I like organo, O-R-G-O-N-O, G5 Sila plant. So that's a great one for injuries, healing injuries. Silica matters. Silica's better than calcium. Better than calcium for tissue, connective tissue, for bones, everything. It actually is better. So that's a great one. Glucosamine's pretty good. I say it's pretty good. The funny thing is that people really like their glucosamine. I'm not going to take it away from them. I've seen it help some people. I don't see it help everybody, but it's one of those things where you'll know if it's helping you. You try it, you see how it works, and then you can not use it. But I've seen glucosamine help some people. So that's one to try. MSM is really, really helpful. Nettle leaf, that's one right there. It's really incredible. So nettle leaf is important. Nettle leaf tea, nettle leaf capsules, nettle leaf tinctures. Plant-based omegas, omega-3s. So plant-based omegas, that's a great one. So you want that. Natural calm, that's a good one. Magnesium glycinate or natural calm, using both of them are incredible for injuries. Spirulina, that's amazing for injuries as well. Spirulina is incredible for injuries because it provides so many micronutrients to injured areas. The body really has the ability to move forward. So these are some of the great supplements to use. Foods, top foods, leafy greens, kale, spinach, lettuce, arugula, mesclun mix. These are amazing for injuries. Oranges, never underestimate oranges. They help heal injuries. If you eat an orange once a month, you're not going to get your injuries getting better. In Life Changing Foods, the book, I really lay it out to what fruit, what vegetable really does help, what condition, what illness. And if you increase that one food and then you find another food in the book that also can heal that same illness and you increase that food, things start to change. And it's really detailed in the book. So make sure you remember to get that and get one. Broccoli, incredible for injuries. Wild blueberries, nothing compares to wild blueberries for injuries. 2 cups a day, every single day. That's amazing. Strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, cherries, sweet potatoes, and winter squash. Can't go wrong with those. Incredible. Tomatoes. Oh, yeah, but they're nightshades. That's what people say. Oh, yeah, but they're nightshades. I can't eat a nightshade. No, you eat a fresh, ripe tomato. Try to get an heirloom tomato if you want. I need a fresh heirloom tomato, ripe tomato. It's incredible for injuries. Very important. Inflammation, viral inflammation. So asparagus, supersonic for injuries. Sea vegetables like dulse, kelp, nori, sesame seeds, tahini. You can have some tahini in your hummus. You can make a tahini dressing. Apples, grapes. Don't worry about the whole grape thing where people are like, oh, those are too sweet. There's too much sugar. Grapes are incredible for recovery. incredible phytochemicals, antioxidants for connective tissue, soft tissue, for ligaments, to everything, bones, you name it, organs. Incredible for injuries, incredible for bruises, anemia, low iron, all of that. Grapes are amazing, so keep that in mind. Zinc, very important to take your zinc when you're dealing with all the injuries, because viral inflammation is behind so many different injuries, as I was talking about before, making the injuries last long. So remember about the zinc and keep that in there. And even some cat's claw, sometimes that's a good idea as well. Lemon balm, that's a good idea. These are antivirals. Olive leaf is a good idea for injuries because it's an antiviral, very important. So we're at the end of our talk, so we're just closing up on a few more things. Know that I love you. Know that I care about you. If you're dealing with these injuries, hang in there for me. We can get better. We can move forward one step at a time. Sometimes it doesn't take much, but just a little bit to move us forward. It's not your fault. You're a good person. I love you dearly. Thank you for hanging in there for this show. Blessings. Bye. And I'll see you next week. Love you.